Libernovo just quietly upgraded the Libernovo Omni chair, and no, I am not talking about the Omni SE, Pro, or Maxis models. I'm talking about a new version of the flagship Libernovo Omni chair that's being called the Libernovo Omni Gen. And supposedly it fixes two of the biggest complaints people had with the original Omni and improves a few things that were already great. But it's still not perfect, and it is going to be a bit more expensive. So I'm gonna show you everything that's new, then help you decide whether or not the Omni Gen is worth the upgrade, or if you'd be better off sticking with the original, or even something else entirely. Now, full disclosure, Libernovo did sponsor this video and sent me the Omni Gen ahead of launch, which I asked them to do because I wanted to test it out and make this video as soon as possible, since there's a window of opportunity that's actually closing for good. Now, Libernovo isn't really advertising this at all, but they're about to quietly start selling the new Omni Gen on their website right alongside the original model, which might not matter to everyone, but if you're on a budget and you don't need the Omni Gen's new features, you might want to grab the original, cheaper model before they're sold out for good. In other words, if you want the Omni Gen, no rush. But if you want the original Omni, rush. But also, don't whip out your credit card just yet, because first we got to go through everything new with the Omni Gen. Then I'll let you know my personal thoughts on the whole situation, who I think the upgrade is and isn't worth it for, which version I'd choose personally, and where the other Libernovo chairs fit into all this. Now, in case you do decide to buy either version of the Omni chair, I'll drop some affiliate links down in the description below that I'll keep updated with the best deal possible, and using them will help support the channel at no extra cost to you, which I always appreciate. But the first major change coming with the brand new Libernovo Omni Gen is one that I think a lot of people are going to be happy with, because it fixes one of the biggest complaints people had about the original Omni, and that is the armrests. Now, the armrests can still be adjusted up, down, in, out, forward, back, and pivot at different angles, but a lot of people felt on the original chair that the armrests pivoted and slid back and forth just a little bit too easily, which I actually do agree with, because I know that sometimes mine will shift out of place if I just bump them even the slightest little bit. But on the Omni Gen, they definitely feel a good deal tighter, and it's not as easy to knock them around by mistake. There's still no locking mechanism in place or anything like that, but you do need to apply more pressure for them to pivot or shift forward and back, which is good. The height range of the armrests has also increased a little bit with the Omni Gen. They now go down about 20 millimeters lower at their lowest position. Kind of hard to tell here, but it is a little bit lower, which is good news for people with longer arms or shorter torsos. And then as for shifting in and out toward your body, we've still got the same 4 positions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, no change there. So overall, I think that these new armrests are a straight upgrade from the original. I think a lot of people who weren't happy with the ones on the first generation are gonna be happy with these. The second big change with the Omni Gen chair is an additional recline position. So on the original Omni, there are 4 preset recline positions. 105 degrees, which I find perfect for long hours of upright seated work. 120 degrees, which feels good for relaxing at my desk or reading a book. 135 degrees, which is perfect for console gaming or watching TV. And 160 degrees, which is basically flat and perfect for handheld gaming or taking a nap. Now, with the Omni Gen, most of those positions are still there, but the 120 degree position that I used for relaxing at my desk is gone and replaced by 2 new positions. 115 degrees and 125 degrees. Now, I'll be honest, I was perfectly fine and happy with the original Omni's recline settings, so this wasn't a necessary change for me personally. But to be fair, your body isn't the same as my body, so I think for most people, having 2 options for slightly different reclined angles will be received pretty positively. Officially, Libernovo is framing the new 115 degree position as a sort of balance mode for focused yet comfortable work sessions, and the new 125 degree position as a solo work mode for reduced spinal pressure and long uninterrupted work sessions. Unofficially, I think it's a nice to have addition that some customers will be really grateful for if either of those wind up being the perfect angles for them, or just for anyone who wants to fidget around in different positions throughout the day. But then we get to the headrest, which is a weird one for me because I've actually been on record saying that I loved the Omni's headrest as it was. In fact, I literally said in another video that this chair's headrest was the best of any chair I've tested so far, and they shouldn't change a thing about it. Add the headrest, which most ergonomic chairs don't even have, and it gets even better because it's not some flimsy add-on. But what does Libernovo go and do? That's right, they changed it. But fortunately, the changes they've made are actually just some range of motion increases. The core headrest function everyone loved is still essentially the same. So when adjusting the headrest up and down, it can now go 40 millimeters lower to better support shorter bodies. And when adjusting it forward and back, it can now go 20 millimeters farther back for better recline positioning. And when tilting the headrest upward or downward, it can now tilt 5 degrees further up, better supporting a wider range of neck curves. So when you combine the range of motion improvements on the headrest with the range of motion increase on the armrests, I think that the overall takeaway is basically that the Omni Gen is designed to fit a somewhat wider range of bodies than the original Omni chair, but notice that these are all about going lower and farther back. So it's really the smaller person that benefits here. Shorter torsos, shorter arms, smaller frames. The upper limit didn't really change. So if you're over like 6'2" or so, or definitely if you're over 300 pounds, there's actually another chair that would probably work better for you, but we can talk about that one in just a minute. Other than those big changes we just covered, there are two smaller changes that definitely stood out to me. The first one I noticed was that the color options on the Omni have now changed with the Gen. So on the original, we had space gray like the one I have here and midnight black, plus a moss green option that they added a little bit later. And the Omni Gen's colors are similar, but still a little bit different. So for the Omni Gen, the colors at launch are going to be Glacier, which I have here, and Graphite. So actually, those are the same color options available on the Omni Pro, which we can talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. But just visually comparing the original Omni's space gray option to the new Omni Gen's Glacier option, I think that the Omni Gen definitely looks a lot better to me aesthetically. You can see both the cushions and the back parts are just brighter all around and visually more impressive. I don't actually have the graphite option on hand to show you, but I'm betting it'll look pretty similar to the graphite option available on the Libernovo Omni Pro, which I do have right here. The second smaller change I noticed with the Omni Gen is with the battery. So the battery now has a little grab handle on the side of it, which just makes it a little bit easier to pop in and out when you need to take it out for a charge every month or two. No big deal, but it's worth mentioning. So with all the new changes we just covered, I've got some opinions on who I think should actually buy it and who I think should probably pass for now. And remember, whatever you decide, I'll have some discounted purchase links down in the description below, so don't forget to use those to save some money. But I think that people will mostly fall into one of three categories. First are the people who already own a Libernovo Omni chair. So if you've already got the original Omni, honestly, I would definitely skip the upgrade to the Gen version. The changes are good, but they are small incremental changes that don't warrant a whole new purchase in my opinion. They're worth a little, but not a lot. You already got an S-tier chair at a mid-tier price, and I think you can feel good about that. I wouldn't trick yourself into spending more money just to have the latest thing. But the second group of people are people who don't already own a Libernovo chair. If you've been eyeing the Omni for a while, you've got a real decision to make here because the Omni Gen is going to be a little bit more expensive than the original Omni. So take a look at both prices after my discount link is applied and consider what those new features are worth to you. If you just want a great deal with no fuss and don't mind the adjustment sensitive armrests, the original Omni is probably your best bet while remaining stock lasts. But if any of the new features you saw today appeal to you, or if the original Omni is already sold out by the time you're watching this, which is a decent chance of that, then the Omni Gen is also a great way to go. And frankly, it's probably the one I'd buy personally. I'd get it just for the tighter armrests alone, but I also think a lot of people will enjoy the additional recline settings, and some people might find the increased ranges of motion on the headrest and the armrests to be worth a couple of bucks. It depends on your body type, really. But then we've got a third category of people who also don't yet own an Omni, but might actually be better off in a different Libernovo chair. Like, for example, if both of these chairs are just a little bit over your budget, there's another chair for that. Or If you're over like 6'2" or 300 pounds, there's another chair for that. Or if you're just extra bougie and want a version of this chair that's like souped up with higher quality materials and features like an in-seat cooling fan, there's another chair for that too. So if you're not totally sure just yet which Libernovo chair you should buy, I highly recommend checking out this other video I made for you, which will walk you step by step through the decision-making process to help you find the absolute best Libernovo chair for you personally, based on your price range, body type, and preferences. So check it out.